test results that are reported to you? And does your understanding of the results help you do your job better? We would hope, if we were good sources of information, that the answers to those questions would be an emphatic, enthusiastic yes and yes, right? Unfortunately, more often than not, the answers I get are either no and therefore no, right? No, I don't understand the results, and of course what you don't understand cannot be helpful to you, right? So this is the perplexed stakeholder. It's like the testers are speaking a foreign language to me, I just don't get it, right? Or sometimes I get yes, but no. This is the irrelevant test result problem. The testers tell me a bunch of things. They're facts, and yeah, I understand those facts, but it doesn't help me do my job better. Okay? So, again, breakdown in delivery of insight and confidence. Now you might say, well, Rex, you're saying you ask these questions during assessments. What kind of people are you talking to here? What kind of companies are we talking about? Well, highly successful companies. Right? This is not a situation where I'm going around talking to companies that are on the verge of failure. Companies that are on the verge of failure don't bring in consultants to help them solve problems. Companies bring in consultants to help them solve problems when there's problems that they can't figure out how to solve on their own. And they're smart people, right? So these are successful companies. Big companies. In some cases, companies that spend $1 billion or more a year on their IT budgets. Okay? So, if you're thinking, oh, this isn't me, this isn't my stakeholders. These are these poor benighted people that hire Rex. Well, no. Have you asked these questions? Okay? Ask the questions of the non-testers. So I've been using this phrase insight and confidence, and insight and confidence. So what do I mean by insight and confidence? So insight, thank you dictionary.com, penetrating mental vision, seeing the underlying truth. Right? What's the underlying truth? What is the actual level of quality of this application at this point in time? Are we ready to ship? How much risk are we taking by delivering this to customers right now? Will this advance our brand or not? Remember a couple years ago? Apple released a new iPhone, and then they pushed out an update for that, software update for it. Boom! Took down a bunch of their phones, right? I think there might have been an insight failure there. Yeah? Somebody didn't quite understand what the quality of that update was that they had queued up ready to go, right? Got their head out a little bit too far in front of their feet, okay? Big successful company. This is, in terms of market capitalization, the most successful company in the world right now, okay? So if they can make that mistake, lots of people can make that mistake. But that doesn't mean that you have to make that mistake. It's not, don't sit back and go, well, if Apple can screw it up, then I guess I'm okay screwing it up too, right? Aspire to do better, okay? So, insight. Give them some insight. Confidence. Confidence in you and confidence in the product. Okay? When non-testers start to seek you out and ask your advice, where are we? How are we doing? What do you think of the results? How's the quality looking? Now you're on to something, because now they have confidence in you, right? When people see you coming and they turn around and run away, they don't have confidence in you, right? Oh no, here comes that person who's going to confuse me again. Run away, okay? No, you want people to be seeking you out. You are a source of insight to them, and a feeling of confidence, that maybe not confidence in the product, but at least confidence that they know what's going on, right? Okay, so this is what I'm getting at with those two questions. All right? Ask them. Ask them those See what they say. If they don't understand your test results, try to understand what's confusing them. Why don't they understand? They do understand, but they can't use them. Again, why? How am I perplexing you? Why is this irrelevant? Right? What's the source of confusion? What's the missing information? What's the too much information? Right? What's the distracting information? Am I overwhelming you with information? That's possible too. Happens. How can I deliver insight and confidence to you more quickly? Okay. Now, of course they don't know the answer to that off the top of their head, right? Because again, who's the expert? Them or you? You are, right? You are the expert on what can be done and what can't be done with testing, what kind of information can be provided, right? But they know what questions they need answers to. So they're here, you're here. You got to build a bridge, right? And you got to take the initiative to do it. Because they might just think that a state of perpetual confusion about the test results is the natural state of the world. I've been in situations like that as a consultant where we go in and observe seriously dysfunctional behavior within an organization. But nobody's upset about it because they think that's just the way it is. Right? It's like a couple hundred years ago. It was very common for children to die before reaching adulthood. That was a common thing. That was the accepted state of the world, right? People just expected that. Okay? And so if you went back in time, 200 years ago, and that's what you would find. That's just people understood, well, it's not that they weren't sad about it, but it happened, right? Now it's completely unacceptable, right? I mean, we have things like antibiotics and vaccines and so forth, and it's, right? So just because something's screwed up doesn't mean it has to be screwed up, right? Just because people are perplexed about your test results doesn't mean that's the natural state of the world. They might think that is, but it doesn't have to be that way. I can tell you, I've seen it not be that way. You can do this, okay? So, what's the cause of this gap that needs to be bridged? Well, one is just getting all geeked out on finding a bunch of bugs. Okay? Test teams that are focused too much on, let me see how many bugs I can find. Yes, you need to find bugs, but that's not all. And finding a lot of bugs by itself is not enough. There's a book by James Whitaker called How to Break Software. Any of you read that? No? It's a pretty good book. Give you some pretty good ideas about how to sit down in front of a piece of software and very quickly find problems in it. Okay? A lot of good ideas in it. But there's a bad idea in the end of it. At the end of the book, he's talking about setting up this effective test group and test team. He recommends putting a big gong. You know what I mean by gong? Big Chinese gong? Hanging a big gong in the test lab so that any time somebody finds a really nasty bug, they get to go up and ring the gong. Okay? Now, visualize this from the outside. The developer, the project manager, the person walking past the lab. What do they hear? Bong! And then they hear testers. Ah, look at that, right? What is the takeaway? Project is in trouble, product has quality problems, testers are celebrating, right? Is that a good takeaway? Is that the message you want to send? Are you on the team or, what are you there to do? I had a test manager once tell me that he thought that the most successful project he was ever on was one where he got the project canceled. I'm like, what sense does that make? You succeed or fail together, right? You succeed or fail together with the team, right? Just finding a lot of bugs, again, you know, that's not going to be success. Yeah. Doing what's easy in terms of results reporting. Bug counts and test case counts. Okay? That's the easy question for us to answer, so we answer that question. But that's not the question that these outside stakeholders have. That's not the question that they have for us. You can blame the tools. You can, that's fair enough. Those of you who in this room who work for Rational or HP or something, sorry. I'm about to say something rude to you. But the canned reports in most of the test management tools that I have seen don't cut it. They are inadequate for people outside of the test team. They are perfectly fine for testers and test managers. They are useful tactical information. But you spray down these senior managers and executives with all these different bug status and test status reports that come out of those tools, useless. Okay? So yes, you can blame the tool, right? That's sort of like you're in your kitchen slicing vegetables and you cut your thumb off, so you blame the knife, right? No, you were the one holding the knife, right? You are the one using the tool. The tool is inadequate. Understand its inadequacies and address them, and it is possible. Comfort zone. Get out of your comfort zone, okay? Get out of your zone of competency. Right? If your focus is on, I'm a really great tester, I know how to find lots of bugs, I know how to run test cases, I know how to write test cases, I know how to create automated test cases, this is what I know how to do. Great, good for you. Like going back to my mechanic, right? Good mechanic, I'm sure, very competent, right? Yeah? But see, the problem was he was in his zone of competency there, right? When I was talking to him. You know, I should have said, how many years before these clutch mechanisms wear out, right? And I would have said that if I were a mechanic, right? So you got to push yourself out of that zone of competency. You know, what does this person need to know from me, right? How do I support the larger goals? It's hard to do because you want to feel competent, you want to feel in control, right? It takes time to get there. You remember how it feels when you're first into testing and you're like, what am I doing? Oh my God, what is this all about? Right? That's an uncomfortable feeling, right? And then you work and work and work, and then you get to a point like, ah, yes, I know what I'm doing. I'm good at it. It feels good, right? But you got to challenge yourself when you're talking to people who are non-testers. You got to go, okay, what do they need to understand? Go off into that area of like, okay, I don't know this. I'm a novice now at understanding what they need to know, but I gotta focus on that now. Getting lost. Getting lost in the big cloud of tests that you could run. This happens. Usually happens to more junior people, but it does happen. People get overwhelmed. Oh my God, there's so many things we could test. Wander around, test and test and test and test and test, and they've got all these results, but what does it mean? I don't know. Okay? And then there's the quality cop. The quality cop, the tester who thinks it's their job to decide what good enough is. Their job. Every now and then I have conversation with testers and test managers who say, I want the authority to stop a release. Ha-ha! You think you do. You only think you do because you never have had it. Once you get that, you will soon discover that that's absolutely not what you want, right? Because guess what? If you get that authority and then you're holding up releases, you are the one who is preventing revenue from coming into the company. You are the one who's responsible for the delays. We were fine, we were ready to ship, but those testers say we can't. Bloody testers, right? And then finally you say, all right, I'm not happy about it, but go ahead and ship it. And then there are bugs in production. Guess what? What do you hear? How come you didn't find that bug? Right? How come you missed that? Yeah? Yeah, see, that's going to happen if you're the one who gets to determine when to release. Now you might say, but I don't get to determine when to release, and people are saying that to me already. When I miss bugs. You know why? Because they expect you to find all the bugs. Right? This is back to what I was talking about earlier, objectives. If you don't define the objectives and what can reasonably be accomplished, people will come up with their own set of objectives for you. Right? If there's a testing organization and people are aware of it, they're aware that it costs money to run that organization. So they think it's there to do something. So they have expectations. Yeah. They might be dead wrong on those expectations, but they have them. And the fact that you're not satisfying them, you can't just say, well, those are unrealistic expectations. Okay, they are, but they have them. Right? So again, go back to what can you actually accomplish? How can you support the organization? So, how to fix the problem if this problem exists for you? Listen. Start by listening. Talk to your stakeholders. Listen to them. What are they not getting from you, information-wise? Right? Even if they say something completely unrealistic, first just listen. Okay? And then go off and come up with a plan. Come up with a plan of how you're going to be this person that they see as this fountain of insight. They love talking to you because they're confused about what's going on, but then they come and talk to you and now they understand. Now they understand the quality of the product. Now they understand the risks. Okay, that's what you want them to walk away, conversation with you. You might not always make them happy. You're not going to tell them everything that they want to hear, right? So I'm not saying learn to be a really good sycophant, learn to be a yes man or yes woman, right? No, that's not what I'm saying, right? Learn to be a source of information. Now, what mistakes are you making? I don't know. And I gave a list of some typical mistakes, but it could be something completely different in your case. Okay? And what's probably true is that there's probably a number of things that are causing confusion, lack of insight, lack of confidence. Okay? So, solve the problems that really are the problem. Okay? Do some Pareto analysis. Well, what's the most important thing? What are the 2, 3 most important things that lead to people not getting insight and confidence from my test results? Resist the temptation to focus on the tool. Okay? It's easy to say, my test management tool sucks. I will go get another one. No. Okay? Figure out what information people need first and then figure out how to give it to them, right? Don't just assume out there somewhere is some magical test management tool that knows how to hit managers on the head with a golden wand of wisdom. It does not exist. Hey, that tool does not exist. Raw, unfiltered test results, a common problem. Okay? And it's easy for me as a consultant to come in from the outside and talk to these non-testers and see, oh, there's a problem here, and then give a presentation like this. I understand that there are a lot of pressures and you're doing a lot of things. And sometimes it feels like you're in a very deep pool and you're lucky that the water's here, not here, right? Yeah? I understand that. Okay? But maybe you need to redirect a little of your attention away from some things you're doing towards some other things that you're not doing. Right? Maybe some of the things that are chewing up so much of your time that you think are so important right now are actually distractions that are preventing you from delivering this insight and confidence, right? Are there things that you're doing that are potentially less important than figuring out how to be a better provider of information? And notice that I'm not talking about just stopping everything here, right? You don't have to stop everything to have a conversation with your stakeholders and try to define what the objectives of testing are. This is an easy conversation to have, one person at a time, right? You don't have to stop everything to try to figure out how to better report your test results, because again, it's an easy conversation to have. You go to your stakeholders, you say, I'd like to have a little conversation with you about how I can better help you do your job. Who's going to say no to that, right? No. No, I don't want any help from you, right? I mean, is somebody going to say that? No, you're going and saying, I want to figure out how to better help you. You know, who's going to say, no, you can't have any of my time for that, right? Have this short conversation. What do you think the objectives of testing are? How do those relate to your goals, right? You know, figure that out. How can I better support you with information? Figure that out, okay? Try to stand outside and look at your results, okay? And then come up with a plan. All right, so I'm getting the sign in the back that I think I've time to go to questions. Is that right? Yeah, so we have some time for questions, Natasha? Well, either it was 100% clear or I got up here and confused you all myself. So, yes, ma'am.
I have a question. How often do we share the test results? Like our organization into an agile model, where we kind of go back and share test results every activation or every sprint. So, if we increase the frequency on how often?
How often, right. Yeah, how often is a good question. How often to share results? And the answer to that question is another question, to whom, right? Okay, so you mentioned you were in an agile organization. So you were going to share test results every single day at the daily stand-up meeting with your fellow team members, right? So every day you're going to give them the information